Okay, so now we're going to talk about our third president, Jefferson. But how do we get to President Jefferson and how do we get where we are? So let me quickly review. President Washington creates a foreign policy, and he said, remain neutral with dealing with foreign countries. We had John Adams, who chose peace. Remember, there was the whole XYZ affair. So next we get to the election of 1800. So at this time, this is our fourth election as a country. All right, our first election, George Washington. Second election, George Washington. Third election, John Adams. And now John is running again in the election of 1800. The way it had been set up was that first place became president, second place became vice president. So those first two elections, George Washington won, and John Adams got second place, so he was vice president. In the third election, John Adams got first place, Thomas Jefferson got second place. As you can imagine, as you can see with this slide, they are now different political parties. Imagine President Biden winning the election and Donald Trump as his vice president. Do you think it would go very well? Probably not. Same in 1800. So you have the Federalists, led by John Adams. Thomas Jefferson leads the Democratic Republicans, referred to as Republicans. So since first place got president, second place got vice president, they started to figure out how can we work the system. So Jefferson and Burr run together, hoping everyone will vote for Jefferson or Burr. Federalists hope everyone will vote for Adams or Pinckney, and they kind of rally behind. So the Republicans decided they'd rally behind Jefferson, and the Federalists decided, who should we rally behind? Well, Alexander Hamilton was not happy with John Adams, so he started to get people to vote for this dude, Pinckney. This is how the election ended, with Thomas Jefferson having 73 votes, Aaron Burr 73, John Adams 65, and Pinckney 64. So what do we have? We have an electoral college tie. So already in our Constitution, we have figured out what to do when there is a tie in the electoral college. And in our fourth election, we had to go through that process. And that process is that Congress votes. So Jefferson and Burr each won 73. And they had tie-breaking votes. So they kept voting and voting and voting. And you know who it was who finally convinced everybody to vote for Jefferson? Hamilton. Because Hamilton really didn't like really didn't like Burr. Right? He really didn't like Burr. Those of you who have watched Alexander Hamilton, the musical, know that side story. So Hamilton is the one who got people to rally behind Jefferson. Even though we know Hamilton and Jefferson have a history of hating each other, it was because Congress was voting between these two over and over and over and over, trying to break the tie. And finally, he convinced people to vote for Jefferson. Because of this, we have our 12th Amendment. So now it's not first place, second place. When you go vote, you technically are voting for either Joe Biden for president, Kamala Harris for vice president. And that way you go into becoming a president with someone you want to be working with. And Joe Biden doesn't have Donald Trump as a vice president. He has Kamala Harris. Jefferson made it clear that he really liked the people and thought that big, strong federal government wasn't good. He should let people make their decisions. Madison was his Secretary of State. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison. So you can predict that's going to help Madison become the next president after Jefferson. And the Alien and Sedition Act. So remember that thing that John Adams put into place to make it harder to become a citizen, the Alien Act. Harder to become a citizen and harder to vote. And if you speak bad about the government, you can get into lots of trouble. He urged them to stop it, expire it. So in summary, you've got Adams and Pinckney, Jefferson and Burr. Hamilton didn't like Adams, so he tried to get Federalists, to vote for Pinckney over Adams. What did that cause? Federalists were all unorganized. Nobody won. Jefferson and Burr, Repubs win, but tie between Burr and Jefferson. House of Representatives break the tie, and Jeff wins because of Hamilton's support. So we are now on President Jefferson. John Adams was our first one-term president. Peaceful change of president. Peaceful change of president. No violence. So this is sometimes, while I have written up here election of 1800, if you Googled revolution of 1800, you would get the same story because people were so upset. But they kept it together and they had a peaceful transfer of power, which is something that has happened in our country forever. So we've got pirates, not like Disneyland, Pirates of the Caribbean, but we've got some pirates going after us. They're kidnapping us. The British are kidnapping American sailors because they thought they were British deserters. They thought they were people who had ditched being in the British Navy, so they were kidnapping them. One ship attacked an American ship with fire, and that made Americans super angry. We also had North African pirates taking American stuff, and to stop them, Jefferson quietly was sending them money, but he didn't want to keep doing this. So he was paying bribes. Let me show you the picture. Oh, no, not that. No, not that yet. Let me go to slide 15. Okay, here's the picture too. So we also are going through the Strait of Gibraltar. So here's Europe, England, France. We're sending stuff to France. London's getting mad. And we're also coming here to get to southern part of Italy. And North African pirates are also attacking us. So we're sending money here as well. So let me go back to where we were. Here we go. So what does he do? Jefferson sends more ships to protect each other. One ship was captured, and U.S. burned that ship because they didn't want to let them have the ship. So the sailors that were on it put it on fire as they were being captured. The leaders all agreed to stop demanding tribute. And Jefferson passed something that was called the Embargo Act, which means there's no more trading between Europe and U.S. He puts his foot down and says, you know what, you guys, you keep attacking our ships. We're just not going to send you our stuff anymore. We're not going to trade with you. Well, that actually hurt the U.S. more than it helped because all of our resources and products we were making, we couldn't sell to Europe. So it turned out to be a very bad decision.
By 1803, England and France were back at war with each other during the Napoleonic War. England decided to blockade Europe to prevent ships from getting to France. France tries to retaliate, but their navy was not as strong. During this time, America gets caught in the middle, and by 1807, Britain had seized about 1,000 American ships, France seizing about 500. America was more concerned with British taking U.S. ships due to Britain's use of impressment, the taking of U.S. sailors and drafting them into the British Navy. To make matters worse, the Chesapeake incident took place in June of 1807. British warships were ordered to board and search the U.S. frigate Chesapeake in search of men wanted by the British Navy. When approached by the British, the commanding officer denied the British the right to board the ship. Frustrated by this, the British fired shots at the Chesapeake, killing 5 Americans, demoralizing the crew, and violating America's sovereignty. In response to the Chesapeake incident, President Jefferson, not wanting to go to war, passed the Embargo Act of 1807, stating that the United States would not trade with Europe. While the intentions were good, the act had a negative impact on U.S. businesses as they could not survive without European trade. As a result, Jefferson passed the Non-Intercourse Act, which stated the United States would open trade with other nations except England and France. The act was basically unenforceable and considered a failure, as it did not stop merchants from trading, nor did it help the American economy. Both of these acts contributed to the U.S. going to war with Britain in the War of 1812. Another issue the United States had to deal with was the Barbary pirates. Off of the Barbary coast, located in northern Africa in the Mediterranean Sea, pirates began to attack U.S. ships and ships from other countries. Most countries would just pay bribes so the pirates would leave their ships alone. However, the pirates became greedy and the U.S. could not afford the bribes. As a result, Jefferson ordered the U.S. Navy to attack and defeat the pirates. This gained the United States some respect from the European nations for its actions. Jefferson ordered the Navy into action without a formal declaration of war. Given that only Congress can declare war, this action once again displayed Jefferson's use of a loose interpretation of the Constitution. Jefferson's presidency was marked by controversy, success, and failure. From Marbury versus Madison to Hamilton and Burr, the presidency witnessed events that tested the legitimacy of the government. Jefferson's quest to expand the country and move westward, thanks to the Louisiana Purchase and Lewis and Clark, showed Jefferson's dedication to understanding the land he controlled. Attempting to avoid war while appeasing businesses at home proved Jefferson was not a perfect president. However, through it all, Jefferson and the United States survived 2 more terms of a presidency. Following George Washington's lead, Jefferson chose not to run for a 3rd term, once again displaying the young country's ability to peacefully transfer power.
So that was a nicely spoken version of what I just went through and explained to you. So in the end, if you recall, I checked on here. We had Adam chose peace. So what do you think Jefferson did? He tried for peace, but he did have some involvement. So it wasn't war. It wasn't totally peace. He had some involvement. So that is a run through of, oh gosh, I did a lot of slides here. That was a run through of Thomas Jefferson, okay, our 3rd president. So we've done Washington, Adams, Jefferson. When we have class tomorrow on Friday, we will discuss Madison. Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison. Yeah, I always have to say it in order. Okay, bye you guys.